Team Vector.
What is up, guys? Welcome to the redraw. I am here with my co-host, the greatest leader of the mermaids, Mimi.
That's me.
And today with us, we have, once again, our teammate, Reese.
And leader.
Sort of.
And our good friend, Crespo.
Hey, what's up?
Good to have you back.
Thank you for the energy, Crespo.
Yeah, my
Reese,
pleasure.
you kind of dead. All right, so
Host
today's
dinner, okay?
But today, guys, we have actually a pretty exciting redraw for
A
you.
lot to go over.
Yes, we have a very lot to go over. But, so, being that last week, about 2 weeks now, we received all the information for Overdress and what it will entail.
Vanguard 2.0.
Starting off,
Not all, but a lot of it.
but we got pretty much everything we need to know outside of card interactions because that comes with the game's growth.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for.
So, we got pretty much all of it, and it will be a full reboot.
They weren't memeing when they said Vanguard 2.0. It's just straight up new.
No, they were not. But, however, they did come out and say that they are going to do their very best to not do another reboot.
Which, hopefully, with how much they changed things, they shouldn't have to. It seems
I
pretty
hope
sustainable.
they've learned their lessons.
There's so many to have learned, though.
Well-
Can we trust them?
Well, actually, Reese, I'm about to go into that before we go into all the topics of what's occurred. The new president over the card game portion for Vanguard, he actually does have a background in gaming, as well as everybody in the R&D community, in the R&D team, has a background in gaming.
Oh, they have an
I
R&D
heard
team
about
this
that.
time. Yay.
To be fair, you can have a background in something, but your execution is what matters, and that's all that people pay attention to.
Yeah, we'll see. As long as the cards that come out with the new sets are like fun, then I think we should be totally fine. And so that's all that really matters in the end. What that Reggie quote: "If it's not fun, why bother?"
Yeah, I like this
Exactly.
new team. It's just the fact at least this new team has been open about where at least the background they work on. So at least it's a good vote of confidence to give out to the public, which is a good start already.
Yeah, because it was super closed doors before, and now it's pretty open, right? From what it seems, anyway.
Yeah,
That is a difference that I'm actually happy to see.
I love
I like the
that
direction
Judging
development about
from
it.
seeing as how this is the same R&D team that's responsible for the clan selection series,
And it's so good.
I
Everything in
have-
there.
high hopes for Overdress.
Oh yeah, I'm optimistic, but
However, hope is a dangerous thing.
mhm.
yeah. I got a good 70-30 with them, and that's a lot better than I gave the previous. Usually it was always 50-50 because everything was always in the hush hush.
Yeah, you never know.
I like this infinitely better, so it definitely gets a thumbs up from me right for now.
Yeah, I'm hopeful about it. It looks nice because sort of with I guess the first of the big things about Vanguard 2.0 here, clans are gone. They have been turned into their nations. So instead of having 24 different clans to pick from, you choose 5 different nations, which makes it a lot easier for them to balance. So we'll get less runaway cards like the 2 current problem children in Standard who shall not be named. It's a lot easier to avoid things like that when there's only 5 decks instead of 24. And then maybe in the future we'll be able to, instead of it just being 5 decks, they'll be able to build up and actually make use of the Eternal format that Vanguard uses, where our cards don't rotate. So we can actually use cards from like set 1 much down the line when they get support and whatnot. So there won't just be 5 decks. There'll just be 5 deck things to balance for them, which will be way easier than 24. So that's part of the reason I'm looking hopeful.
Well, actually, Mimi, they also did come out with a statement during the recent Japanese stream, and what was stated was in each booster set there will be 2 different archetype / design bases for each set
Okay.
for each nation.
That's like 10 decks per set, essentially. And then, like, plus and minus all the fancy things that people like me brew together.
give or take. Because they plan to do 2 designs per each nation per each set. So this set will have its 2 designs for each nation. Supposedly, the base for Dark States right now, from what's being rumored, is Spike Bros and then probably Dark Irregulars.
Okay, probably like their gameplay themes will be involved in it, and then like some of their artworks and whatnot, or like their artwork styles, I suppose. Not, of course, the actual.
Yeah, their
cards.
artwork styles are going to be more related to one of the clans in each nation.
Because that's going to be kind of cool. I think the SPs or whatever for the boss cards get different arts for their different clans in the nation, I think. Do they represent?
Yeah.
But how... Oh, I almost forgot to mention. They took most of the clans, or the nations just as they were, but they... I said 5 clans, they're like, oh, there's 6 nations, so that's kind of strange. And then like, well, there's actually 6... new nations.
There's
in this
actually
thing, too. There's
6 nations.
Yeah, there's the special Lyrical Monte Cristo, which was, or I don't know how to pronounce it. That's what it looked like to me. Okay,
It's lyrical. Yeah.
Stereo.
So what happened? So here's what happened, guys. For those of you who don't know, what happened was we'll actually start with this, guys. What happened in lore is D series will take chronological place after G series.
10,000 years, right? The
Approximately
3,000 years on Cray.
gap.
For Cray, it will be 3,000 years ahead after Gizeh's destruction. So
However,
what
on Earth, it's
happened
only 10
was,
years.
huh?
However, on Earth, only 10 years have passed since G.
Oh,
Yes, but for us, for Cray, what has occurred is this. We have Messiah has went back to sleep,
chilling.
so there is now a portion. So now, within that 3,000 year time span, people stop praying to Messiah, which caused Cray to go into a desolate wasteland. And during that 3,000 years, all of our nations and clans have made changes. For the United Sanctuary, it became known as the Keter Sanctuary. What really changed was nothing outside of their class system got worse.
Yeah, welcome to America, right?
Right. For the Dragon Empire, nothing happened. They just got stronger.
Seems
They
legit.
kept their name.
I mean, it's
They
an
kept their
empire.
nation's name as a state.
Yeah, why would they need to be anything else? They were fine. The Dark Zone,
As
though, that makes me
for-
sad. I'm kind of
Yo,
Dark
upset
Zone-
from a lore perspective.
They warped the Dark Zone. That thing, it became something new.
Here's what happened for Dark Zone. Gear Chronicle showed up, ended the civil war of all the demon lords,
Sadly, Ammon had
and
that
united
covered.
it as a nation,
Yeah, Ammon
which
had
is
that
now why it's
covered.
called Dark States.
The United Dark
It has
States.
not been confirmed that Chronojet is the hero that did it. What they said was a hero.
So it could be Lost
and
Legend.
Gear Chronicle. It could be a lot of different ones. It could have been Shaharat. It could have been Shaharat. It could have
No.
been Amun. It could have been
Correct.
Amon. It could have been
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's Amon. Bushiroad got to get that license back.
Only be Ammon. Or the Chronojet thing.
Definitely
But
got-
like, if it happened in
Or-
lore, that's why I was upset. Because Ammon's whole thing was that he was going to unite the Dark Zone, and then there was the lore tidbit we got from one of the strides that he does 3,000 years in the future. Ammon has succeeded in uniting the Dark Zone under his rule, and I was like,
Was it actually 3,000 years in the
Yeah,
stride?
that was how long the strides were. That's why the
So
time
then,
gap.
yeah, it's Amon then.
Yeah, it's
there's
supposed
no
to be,
debating
but it's
that.
not.
It's already
I thought it-
established.
I thought it because they hinted at it and they're like, oh, a hero has him. Like, oh, look at them being sarcastic. They know it's Ammon, but no, we have been debated. All of us lore nerds have been.
It's
completely
definitely
wasted.
Amon.
It's
I
either
won't
between
accept
Amon
anything.
or Chronojet, or only because of the whole mentioning of
The hero thing.
Gear Chronicle.
Yeah, and
Because
yeah.
technically, Gear Chronicle works on their own. They don't listen to nobody.
Yeah, they're from another timeline. How could they? They don't take orders from nobody in this timeline.
They
My
ignorant.
timeline. Wait, that's not the reference.
And then, so they became the Dark Zone.
The Dark
The
States.
Dark Zone became Dark States.
Yeah.
Following that, we had the
Brantgate?
we had
The Stargate.
Brantgate, which was
Yeah.
Stargate. They are now sort of just waiting for the void to come back.
That like, please
Don't know
Brant,
if
end
it's-
us all, like the Cthulhu worshippers.
Don't know if it's but we don't know if it's to worship void or if it's to defend the world against from void.
I'm pretty sure
That has yet to be explained.
I thought it was, yeah, I guess, but it seemed like it was. I really thought I saw a tidbit that says that they were like setting up for Brant's return or whatever. They were like worshiping him or something. But have you seen? Have you seen that lady from the anime that plays Brantgate though? Like, look at her face. She looks like she just said, "I counter that," and felt some pleasure deep inside. Look at her. I hate her, and I love that I'm allowed to. It's great. She's
Yeah,
probably gonna be my
so
favorite character
we
in the
had
show.
Stargate turn to Brantgate, and then we had 2 more amazing changes.
Sort of.
The Zoo Nation ended up merging with Megalanica
Minus mermaids. The mermaids went and did their own fucking thing.
outside of Bermuda and became the nation of Stochia,
Yeah.
where their focus.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm calling them
Stochia,
Senju.
where their
I'm low-key calling them Senju states.
where their
they
focus
chose the 2 perfect
is
ones.
knowledge.
Oh yeah, it's like a great. They were like, okay, Great Nature guys, we're all part of your team now, and they made the right move. Everybody should be Great Nature. Now,
Well,
The Great Nature was a
portion.
deck that I would have played if I never started on Kagero.
it's pretty cool.
Well, what happened was Bermuda didn't join because their area got destroyed when Gizeh blew up.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. Man, the Bermuda lore goes deep. I'll have you know.
So if you guys look at the map, that gaping hole is where Bermuda was supposed to be until Gizeh exploded after dying.
And now Bermuda is part of all of the other like random clans. Like when they bring in Bang Dream and Token Ranbu, they have like that. They're like those pink color. Well, now Bermuda's part of that. So Bermuda is officially not part of the game officially, but they've become a supplementary anime, I guess somehow. That's also
no
canon?
Bermuda's still part. But what happened was they relocated to a back of a giant well, and they're a festival group that flies around.
Which is phenomenal and whatnot. Like, I love it. I'm sure nobody will ever convince me to stop playing it. But like when they support it, I'm pretty sure that's what they're gonna shove all of the Token Ranbu stuff or whatever. So they're gonna be like, well, it goes in this nation with the Bermuda garbage. And I mean, I can't wait to try and mix and match whatever strange things that they give us with Bermuda, but like at the same time, I don't want to play Token Ranbu.
You can't mix them with Bermuda.
Well, no, they'd be in the same nation. You have to.
What I think they confirmed it that everything in Lyrical Monasterio is
like
its own standalone deck. Like they can't they can't commingle with one another.
Sad.
Exactly.
They better give Bermuda
This
lots
is
of
also-
support then.
Well, this is also because Bermuda, once they get released and set in the second booster of the Overdress era, they will be guaranteed in every box pretty much at that point
Oh, cool.
as their own separate nation.
Great. Wonderful.
So just a question, because I know it was actually something I thought I was thinking about as you were talking about. So basically, it's just 5 different nations, and Bermuda's basically an independent.
Yeah,
If
plus
you
like
Yes.
put it, it's an independent nation.
Yeah,
Or
and
it's an
then
independent. Yeah, an independent.
plus whatever other supplementary plans and whatnot they throw at us. Those will become in the same like nation as Bermuda, but they're exclusive, sadly. No
Yeah.
broken things for me. Self-bounced 2 OP.
Think as Lyrical Monasteria as Disneyland, and Disney says we'll let Star Wars slide in, but it's not considered Disney.
Yeah, basically. I guess that's what it is, huh? Something like that. They're like, yeah, you guys can come with us, but we're not really gonna hang with you. They let them on the big ass whale, but they didn't let them backstage.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Now that we've gone over what happened, there's been some change in game mechanics as well as introduction of a new card type.
Yep. that was next up on the list of things I wanted to go over. They've added this special new trigger, which doesn't become a 17th trigger in your deck. You just have to choose one of your 16 triggers to remove for this special trigger that, just like heals, has a limit. But this one, only one. It's called an over trigger, and it's got quite a lot going on. It's very Vanguard.
Yes, it does. It has 100 million power.
Well, the
50,000 shield.
Yup.
And it has this. It has this base generic effect. When triggered as a drive check, you draw one,
And then
it vanishes.
oh, I thought. Okay.
Well, I thought that if you checked it, like if it goes to damage, it disappears. You draw a card, and then you give one unit plus 100 million.
Yeah, that's if you
But I
check
think
it
if
on
you drive
but
check
we
it,
just said on drive check, and then I thought it was on drive check you get power plus, or 2 units get power plus 200.
yeah, like you get an additional effect for checking it, and it says the additional effect on the Wikia is that you choose one of your units and it gets 100 million. So 2 different units will get it. It seems like.
So here's how over triggers work. They're technically an overpowered draw trigger. And here's how the generic portion is: as a trigger, it will give 100 million. You draw a card, and it has a 50,000 power shield. Now, the other portion of it is when triggered as a drive check, it will activate a secondary skill based on your nation.
And then one of the
And
nations?
that will all be based on nation.
But they haven't actually revealed any of them yet.
I guess.
Not yet. Not the skills, but each nation gets their own separate one, and each over trigger will have its own separate skill. We only know of the generic one that will be coming in the trial deck. And those will give the ability of give a unit give one other unit 100 million when it's triggered as a drive check.
And then also they're removed from the game thing, maybe, sort of.
Yeah, and then it's removed from game once it's been used.
Which, as a mechanic, it's kind of cool, right? It's like a one of just like it's very Vanguard, you know. It just kind of throws in some anime shenanigans in there. It makes it more exciting.
Exactly.
Like on defense, you check this and you're just like, okay, your turn's over. Sorry. I mean, like you lose
on
your
offense,
cards. And on offense, it's PG.
And then on offense,
and with that,
offense, it's fun.
Oh, so fun.
Offense is going to be fun.
I mean,
oh, you hit yours on defense. I hit mine on offense. Let's keep this going.
I am very much looking forward to taking this over trigger and throwing it in my premium Overlord deck.
That'll be fun. Imagine if you check
just because if I check it on my first swing with Overlord, it's basically game over.
Sorta.
Pretty much.
But or you could get 6 drive checks, and then I don't think you have any restanding rear guards in Kagero, so maybe it's not worth. I was gonna say use the purge, get all 6 drive checks, and then give all the 100 million to a restander. Strats. But Kagero is bad and doesn't have restanders. You have defensive G guards though, so that's
but we have
something.
a stand trigger that draws us a card and recycles itself.
That's
no! I
okay.
don't want to. No, not that trigger.
Oh, I love that trigger.
That thing,
Inspire Yell Dragon is so good.
Is that the one that was misprinted or whatever? I think that got.
No, it wasn't misprinted. It's the one that when your Vanguard attacks. Is that when it attacks? Or I'm sitting at my computer.
It's something. It's about when it retires. When there's a retire, it goes back.
It's
I think we're thinking of the other one.
This unit on the bottom of your deck. Generation Break 1. Put this unit on the bottom of your deck. When your Vanguard becomes blazing, you may pay the cost. So basically, when your Vanguard attacks, you have more rear guards than your opponent. If you do, draw a card and choose one of your units, and it gets power plus 5,000 till end of turn. Shuffle your deck.
Which is like fine if you're running stands and stuff, but we don't have room for stands anymore.
Yeah, no, not really.
We don't have too much. Speaking of Premium sadly will not get to use the next new feature of Vanguard 2.0, which is the sick new thing called the Ride deck. Oh, so cool.
This is fun. So what it is, guys, is for overdress, what's going to occur is you will have your 50 card deck. 4 of those cards are considered your ride deck. Those 4 go from grade 0, 1, 2, 3. Your starter is considered one of the cards in your ride deck.
Which means after you draw your initial opening hand of 5 cards, you should have a 41 card remaining deck. The 4 cards are set off to the side in separate sleeves, just like your G-Zone or whatever. Or your imaginary gifts, etc. So that if you get one in your hand, somehow people know it's different.
Well, no. Anytime a card that belongs in your ride deck will be bounced back to the deck, it actually returns to the ride deck. So it will never be a part of your main deck.
And that's a good reason for it to be in a separate sleeve, so that you can never goof up and put it in there. Wonderful.
That's right. And ride decks only go straight up. You cannot use it to side ride.
Yeah, so like if you're on a grade 3, you can't like ride it to a different grade 3.
Exactly. So it's the game seems to be gearing towards you have to basically use every card in your ride deck, because it's assumed that you would put a card that would be Persona Blast capable in your ride deck, so that every copy that you draw into, you'll just be able to ride and actually get the benefits.
Oh wait, don't you have to discard a card to ride from your ride deck first?
Yeah, it's a 1-for-1.
I think we forgot to mention that. Because it's not.
However, using the ride deck is optional.
Yep. If you have a perfectly fine grade 1 to ride in your hand, and you're just like, I just don't feel like going into this one in my ride deck this time, because I don't know, maybe they print cards with skills that
but
let
it still needs to be part of your deck. Like
your
ride deck is not optional to own. You have to have one.
Yeah, your deck has to take those 4 cards out. Sadly, you have to start.
Yeah, no matter what, you have to pick that ride sequence essentially. But I'm cool with that, because obviously they're going to give us good hopefully, not obviously, they'll give us good on-ride skills so that it incentivizes use of the ride deck.
Yep. And speaking of riding, they've also announced that quick shields will not be used in overdress.
You just draw an extra card.
Actually balanced going first and second, finally.
Sort of. We'll see.
But
I'm doubtful.
Instead, what will happen is the second player will draw a card on ride when both players are grade 1.
Yeah. So it goes back to original Vanguard in a sense where you ride over your grade 0. You do not draw a card like you did in Standard. That's now only reserved for second turn player. So by the time you complete your grade 3 turn, both players will have seen the same number of cards, barring a draw trigger or extra skills.
At the end of the first grade 3 turn or the second grade 3 turn?
At the end of each player's first grade 3 turn, they'll have seen the same number of cards.
Doubt? The player that drew an extra card saw an extra card. Question mark?
Yeah, but the other player will go. I think they'll get their twin drive first. So
I think
I got to correct that. Let me correct myself then. It should be at the start of the second player's turn 3. They will have seen the same number of cards as their opponent did at the end of their turn 3.
Yeah, because you got the bonus draw, and then you got. I think you're actually. I think it might be 1 less at that point, but then at the end of your turn, of course, you're 1 over. So it's fine. Because you have to be +1 in order for it to make up for the fact that you lose so much tempo going second. Because your opponent is now almost guaranteed to Persona ride first, and that's the next mechanic.
I was also taking into account that your opponent will still draw going first, but they won't ride and they can't drive check. Yeah. So they basically just end up seeing those on their grade 3 attack. Whereas you'll have them from the draw, and then you'll have them from your first swing with your grade 1 Vanguard going second.
Something like that. I'm sure I'll have done plenty of maths in the future, and if anybody wants a whole spreadsheet of maths and a whole maths lesson, you can. I should actually make a room in the Discord for teaching stuff. That would be great, like a classroom.
Actually, here's actually what's going to happen. Generic. The advantage is going to be about the same, but that's because of the new mechanic that was introduced. Not hand-wise, but overall because of new mechanic. And
that on a ride Or
And that mechanics the Persona ride.
Yeah, this is where I always get a little confused. I think you get like power. It's like you get a little front power plus like
your
10K
front
for
row
the
gets
front
power
row,
plus 10 for the whole turn.
even if
It's
you
continuous.
stride, which is great.
So here's what happens. Persona ride activates when you ride over your Vanguard with the same grade 3 that has the Persona ride marker.
So think
When
ultimate
you
stride,
do this,
except you're just riding instead.
when you do this, you draw one card, and for the rest of the turn, your front row gains 10K. This is passive, not static, straight passive.
Yep.
Yeah, it works the same way the original Vanquisher did.
You can stride, you can
In V
spica
series.
attack, you can search your deck for grade 2s mid-battle phase, and everybody gets the
Yep.
plus 10. Go all in, ham. Let's get him. Smash.
And the fact that every single Persona ride will have that makes it fair. So it's not going to be that inherent rock, paper, scissors that we have with gifts. It's going to really come down to what the decks actually do.
Yeah, unlike the fairness of Ober triggers, which are like, they're fair in that everybody has fun, but like, also, whoever gets theirs at a better time
Game-changing
might win.
trigger.
But it's
literally a game-changing trigger.
It's so cool that there's just like one that's just like in there somewhere. I kind of like it. Very Vanguard.
It's like having a fifth heal, too.
Yeah, and am I a degenerate who likes heal triggers? I never mind when my opponent 6 heals on me. I'm like, this is what I deserve. Because then when I do it, it feels
for my
really
opponent
good.
to 6 damage heal on me, and they usually do.
Yeah, it has to be part of your math. If they haven't seen their statistic amount of heals yet, and then you're like, oh, I'll kill them for sure, and then they check a heal, you're like, but buddy, they were statistically likely to check one there compared to normal. You fool, you should have prepped.
No, my thing where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to absolutely win this turn, it's factoring in, oh yeah, they're going to heal too, so I have enough power on my board to get over that extra 10k and still get through their hand.
Always have to factor that in. It's very importante.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so with the Persona riding mechanic, that's where the balance is going to come.
I think
Okay,
so.
you got to see more cards, but on my second grade 3 ride, I'm making you drop those extra cards. Or not.
Yeah, it's the standard. The player who goes first has more tempo, and then the player who goes second has an extra card. It's just how most card games go. And I feel like with the game slowing down a bit, and without any crazy tempo swings like striding or the skills that would randomly stop being grade 3 restricted as happened in standard. Like everybody was getting, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3, like Hugh got an effect like that. But now people don't have to wait. They're just like, I'm just gonna pop off. But now that if you have to, I feel like it makes the game a little more slow paced, which is good for the reboot. I'm sure things will pick up eventually, and it'll be just as fast, if not faster, than current standard. But I'm sure it'll be.
Really hope not.
You don't like this over on turn 3? It bothers you?
It does bother me, considering that official tournaments are a best of 1. If it were a best of 3, the speed of the game would not matter to me at all. But if we're going for a best of 1, I would prefer the games to be longer.
Yeah, same.
Because it doesn't seem like Bushiroad is ever going to move away from that formula, because it seems like they're trying to keep it as close to the anime as possible.
Yeah, where it's all one and done, but...
I can respect, but...
Can I really,
if they're going to go that route, they need to make the games actually last. Like, if a single game of Vanguard actually lasted 25 to 30 minutes, not because somebody stalled, but that's just because of how long it took, I don't think anybody would complain about a best of 1, because there's going to be, a wave, like, it's going to be back and forth in waves. But
maybe.
it would be cool if they bring back that sort of, that G era, interaction during your opponent's turn. Give us more options. More interactions means more thought, which means the pace of the game slows down by default.
Yes, but part of the thing that makes Vanguard is that the only interaction you do is guarding. And like defensive G cards are great, but they didn't give them to every clan for a reason.
Even before G guards came out, like,
break the game,
there were some hand traps, like
really.
Guard Griffin. Griffin was Kagero. One of those.
Name a single hand trap in Bermuda Triangle or Force Clan.
And that's exactly what I'm getting at. I
Well,
want to see
I
that
also
level
want
of
to play.
interaction across the board,
No, you
not
don't.
just in one or two
Yeah,
clans.
because you're a Kagura player. Nobody else wants that. Everybody else wants there to be less battle phase interaction, so they can turn their cards sideways even faster. Oh, have you ever turned your
Interaction
cardboard?
breeds skill.
No, skills comes from your multi-attacking. That's the whole game.
Mm.
It's about
no.
how you, basically the whole game is the battle phase, right?
That was one of the things that I honestly loved about Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the trap cards. It's like the premise of the game looked like it's just a back and forth, but nope, you fell into my trap card. That's
what
one
people
of
come to Vanguard to get away from, is trap. It's literally trap cards and hand
Okay.
traps.
Yeah.
No, I think what
you
people
want Vanguard
wanted to get
be
away in
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh! What people wanted to get away from in Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the fact that literally everything did something. Like they had hand traps, regular traps, quick plays. Like they had interaction in overabundance.
Yeah, they have a lot of interaction, and that's why people came to Vanguard, because they wanted people to stop touching their cards. They're like, no, I get my turn, and you get your turn, and that's it. You don't play cards on my turn. You don't interact with my stuff. I attack you, and then you attack me. There, everybody gets their turn. But
Exactly.
It doesn't end up. If everybody gets to head row round things, then I don't know if I can play the game. It's kind of frustrating. Have you ever had your whole 20-year you're like, I've planned this combo for 20 years. You're like, oh, right, hetero round. I can't play anymore. I scoop. It's not fun.
So I want to see interaction, but I don't want to see like complete shutdowns because of a single interaction. Like, give me one-for-one interactions. Like, a good example is like Sakuratsu armor.
You want
So
you mean
monster.
Denial Griffin? That's what Denial Griffin is. You trade
That's
a
exactly
heal
what
trigger
Denial
for an
Griffin
opponent's
was.
thing.
But I'm just saying as an example, but it's a direct one-for-one.
In the battle phase, you
Not
can't
like,
do that. You are
well,
one
I'm
for one.
just
You
using that
attack
as a-
them, and then you discard a heal, and that is one for one, sort of. They did one attack.
But
and
I'm
you got
not
one
talking
thing.
about like using like a card from your hand and then you like switch the placement of all of your opponent's units. That's kind of nuts. Like, keep it simple, but give us some interaction. You know, like let's say give Bermuda Triangle interaction. Like, all right, cool, you guard with this card. If your opponent's Vanguard is Grave 3 or whatever, bounce one of your units back to your hand. Like, that's
Bounce one of
simple.
my units as the Bermuda player, or one of my opponents.
Yeah, as the Bermuda player to get like more guard. It's interaction, but it's still only affecting your side of the board.
You're just talking about G guard. We have hand in hand Leona, who lets you pick up a rear guard and call a card from your hand to Guardian Circle, and then Citron, who lets you call a card from your hand to rear guard so that you can use things like Honolulu. And like, yeah, G guards are great.
That's during your opponent's battle phase.
Yes, because it's a G guard.
Exactly.
Like, if you could, if triggers had like defensive skills, I guess, but I don't think that
exactly.
Really
that's what I was kind of leaning towards, like giving triggers like actual value being used from your hand. So it's not just one of those things that only happens when they're flipped up for damage check or for drive check. Like, hey, I drew a trigger.
Now you have
now
shield
instead of just being shield, it could, do something else in lieu of shield.
Shield is so important, though. It's like the whole thing.
Shield, yeah.
But you technically want the whole game to change to something that's not Vanguard at this point.
But what really is Vanguard at this point? We have Vanguard. 3 iterations of it, so if they're going to reboot it, go hard or go home. Like,
I feel like if they did that, though, it would kind of like the other 2 games. They were the same in spirit, like the OG Vanguard from set 1, very similar to the very beginning.
Yeah, and if we're gonna get Vanguard 2.0, really shake it up. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but they'd have to
give us a new dimension. Exactly,
format. Because just like with
better than B series, like they need to actually like give the player base what it is they actually want,
and
not what they think we want.
What the player base does not want is what's going to happen. I'm giving you my professor prediction here on what's going to happen with V.
And it's going to be on the record because once on the internet is eternal. So
yeah, this is going down on the internet forever. So V Premium is going to be just like G Standard. It's going to be a thing, and they're going to pretend that it's supported for a while, and then eventually it's going to be gone. So don't get too invested in that whole thing about in arguing about it. It's just gonna be like G standard. Remember when we started V, they're like, okay, guys, we have 3 formats.
We're gonna
We
have G
premium.
no, but they scheduled G regulation being phased out though. I think they had it on the calendar.
They did say that.
Yeah,
They're like they were gonna stop, but there's
No, because what happened was they said G regulation was going to phase out and become premium, and it did.
Yeah. So they didn't bait and switch us. They did exactly what they said they were going to do, which is why I'm hoping they actually do that this time, because they said they're going to continue to support the premium as a format.
Yeah, basically with more of these, like the clan selection box that we have now is phenomenal, so we're just gonna get more of those forever, and that's honestly fine. That might fix V standard, honestly.
It would fix it if they kind of phase out what's like the 2 problem children, which shall not be named. If they actually like find a way to phase them out or hit them or whatever they have to do, and then keep everything around the same relative level as clan selection, B premium could be a very niche and actually playable format.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Which
it'll be cool.
I will even go to tournaments and play in if they actually take care of the format the way that they should.
But
Like, look at how long it took me to get into premium.
I mean, yeah, it takes a while, but like, what's the point of getting into premium? Bushiroad doesn't care about premium. They're honestly going to get rid of it. I mean, they're not really going to get rid of it, but like,
They
I
actually
would think that they were going to, but they, for some reason, haven't.
they've stopped caring about it, really.
The release schedule has been shown. There will be one V Series specialty booster within the first 6 months, as well as one premium booster within the first 6 months.
Yeah, like, we're going to get premium stuff, I'm sure, because they want us to purchase their cardboard.
Yeah.
But like, they don't actually support premium as a format. Like, that premium booster was cool, and it gave Gasteel more things, and they replaced Katarina with Murakumo Katarina, which was fine. And then that's like, they don't really support it, really. Like, they make cards.
And that's what we're hoping that the
understand.
R&D team will actually take seriously this time. But they're going to be responsible for 3 different formats. They can't fix what's already been done.
But here's the thing, though: the premium set that got announced on the release schedule is only for the Western players.
Sounds about right. Maybe they don't know about premium very much in Japan because nobody plays premium in Japan, and that's why they're so out of touch with us.
They don't know about it. Nobody bothers playing it because they have no reason to, because their secondary market isn't horrendous.
Oh, so our secondary market is garbage, is what you're saying? With like, oh yeah, the one where
I could agree with that
Vanguard
statement
decided to play Yellow Bolt and its
wholeheartedly.
price went up from like $5 to like $1 billion. That was a whole thing. There was like a buyout.
In Japan, here's why: because in Japan they don't have a shortage of cards, which causes such a massive price jump, especially because these shops have enough product to support players.
Even
a max rarity deck in Japan is like half.
You consider the fact that Japan as a country is smaller, like not just in size but population, and compared to America as a whole, it would make sense that they don't have that supply and demand problem there, because they also have like a local manufacturer.
It's not even just that though, because how shops work in Japan compared to how we treat card games out here. The shops maintain a good relationship with their players to where they want to sell to the shop. In comparison to Western mentality, it's always about making money and not about the community.
Yeah, it's always.
I could agree with that too.
Purchasing singles and
because
and hustling.
Card shops actually took a hit when the main got hit.
What happened?
Because what happened was they paid attention to what was happening in their in Vanguard. They were buying the mains. They knew people wanted the mains. They were buying the mains. So the main had a surplus. The ban list hit. They got hurt really bad.
So that's not necessarily, it is Bushiroad's fault, and it isn't at the same time. it is Bushiroad's fault in the sense that their R&D created that situation. And it is the shop's fault for stocking up on something that is uncertain. Trading card games are like a stock market. They're a stock market on a very small scale. But if you go and you invest in buying a whole bunch of copies of a card that is going to make an obvious change and like shift the paradigm of the entire meta, like Nemain did, because that one card took a deck to 90th percentile of use, that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, all the way up to tier 0 for a hot minute.
Yeah, like literally tier 0. If Bushiro didn't hit that, the shops would have just been killing it. But the fact of the matter is that it needed to be hit to actually encourage people to continue playing the game, because people were quitting the game over Luard.
Yeah, people quit the game over everything, though.
That's true. Yeah, Luard was inherently unhealthy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I enjoyed playing against Luard. I got very little pleasure from that. I mean, I got only the masochistic pleasure I usually get, but other than that,
yeah, I lost to it 7 times in a row, and there was not a damn thing I could have done.
No, nothing.
It did not matter whether I went first or second. I was always second.
Like, I sacked him with Plan a few times, but like that. You're sacking, so of course you win when you sack.
Yeah, like Vanguard. You can't actually plan to win around Luard. Like
you can hope
everything literally has to go wrong for your opponent to lose with Luard, and that was a problem. And that's what I lay at Bushiroad's feet, because their design team, their R&D was, I don't know what they were thinking. Yeah. Maybe they weren't thinking at all. But the shops ultimately paid the price for that, because they got overzealous and started stocking up on the main.
I'm still not quite sure exactly how this whole shop thing has to do with them not playing premium. So they have access to cards. Why does that prevent them from playing premium? If anything, that would make it easier. I don't understand.
It's actually because Luard was only a hit in standard. It should have forced those players into premium if they want to play that degenerate version of the deck. But the fact of the matter is, in premium, Luard doesn't have as big of an impact as it does in standard.
Sort of.
It's like, also because there's more access. Because there's more access, nobody has to like take a sidestep until they can build the deck they want.
I suppose I understand, but I'm still not quite grasping why they don't play premium. But like, I mean, it doesn't
really correlate to why they don't play premium. It does correlate to why shops are hesitant to support Vanguard, because now their mindset is probably, hey, this card's really good. We probably shouldn't stock up on it, because if they hit it, we're just going to lose money.
Yeah.
The only way to avoid that is by Bushiro just keeping things balanced, which is Bushiro's responsibility. Yeah. The shops, honestly, should have just read the market better than they did. And that's entirely on them.
It's not
everybody out here in the West that started trying to stock up on the main to resell to people. The main got bought out quick. And then the moment Luard started topping, all the main prices like bumped up to like $40, $50.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but remember, nobody knew about the ban list. It came out of nowhere. So it's not they made a bad decision. That was a smart decision.
Really say the ban list came out of nowhere when
it did. It was a surprise ban list. It came out of nowhere. It wasn't announced.
What I'm saying is, you can't really say it came out of nowhere if you acknowledge that Luard was a problem.
It came out in response to the tier 0 format. It was kind of
response to tier 0 format. I saw it coming, and I called Nemain getting banned. Did I not?
I believe you did.
Yes, you did. But let's get back to Overdress.
I mean, that was honestly. Yeah, I was gonna say I was about to actually call for things to be wrapping up, because with the last thing was the formats, and with that's pretty much all the information. I'm waiting for bated breath to know what any of the cards.
Actually, there's one more thing of information, Mimi. Before we go.
Oh,
yeah. Because Overdress is going to be beginning. We always get structure decks, right?
Oh, right. I forgot to talk about the structure decks.
Oh, yeah. You're right. They're starter decks this time around.
I didn't think they wanted
which we haven't had since G era. And they're actually only going to be $4 this time.
Yeah, not
allegedly.
Bad. But there's not going to be one for Bermuda.
They're actually going to be $4.
I say allegedly because once a shop buys it, they don't necessarily have to follow a manufacturer's suggested retail
Yeah,
price.
there's this whole MSRP debacle thingy. It's complicated.
Yeah, because if that's the case, unrelated to Vanguard, graphics cards wouldn't be going for over 200% of what they actually cost.
Yeah, there's like a reason Wizards got rid
However,
of MSRP.
I doubt. I will say this: I doubt they will go anywhere near normal pricing for structure decks, because there would have to be a valid reason to buy a structure deck at $10 when it only sells for $5.
Yeah.
All right, so supply and demand. The dark side of capitalism is going to be simply like, hey, we import these cards. We bought a couple of cases. We don't have enough for all the people getting it, so now we're going to make as much money as we can off the stock we have. Instead of selling it for $5, we can now sell it for $10.
I'm pretty
and
sure
if people want it, they're going to buy it.
Yeah, but if anybody sells it anywhere online, then nobody's going to get away with that, though. And everybody buys things online right now.
The people online are also doing it. Which is the catch. It could be like if sellers and like brick and mortar shops are like, hey, we're going to sell it above manufacturer's suggested retail price, then all vendors can either match them or undercut them.
I'm certain it's a possibility, but we're just going to have to believe on faith that these decks will cost approximately $5, which is not bad.
Because here's a thing. For Japan right now, $5 structure decks are actually a thing. In Japan, they've been doing it for a lot of games right now.
Remember when Yu-Gi-Oh first came out back in like 2003, the starter decks had a manufacturer's suggested retail price of about $10. You couldn't find them for $10 anywhere, and it's not like they were hard to find. They were $20 and up. When I got my starter deck Kaiba, my uncle bought it for me, and he paid about $22 for a $10 starter deck. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we'll see. It's possible,
even now,
but
it's one of those things where I just want to say, take that MSRP with a grain of salt. Be prepared for it to be a little bit higher. If we get it here in the West and it's $4 or $5, I'd be ecstatic.
I concur, but I get the strange feeling that it might be.
Scenario.
Yes, it might be higher, but we must believe.
Yeah, it might be.
Again, like I said at the very beginning, hope is a dangerous thing.
Yeah, but we can't do anything. So we're going to stop talking about it now.
It might be, but then when Bushiroad America's still saying the same thing of a $4 price, there's not much.
No, there's a lot. We're done talking about the pricing of these, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to pretty much move on. Because there's look at the arts. You buy it for $5 and you get to try out your clans you want, and it's great, but most of this stuff is just
what really brought down the cost of them is that I think there's only going to be one foil card per starter deck now, and I think it's only the boss card.
Which is fine. And I hate foil cards anyway. They clump. Gross.
I love foil cards. I like all the shiny. My entire deck is shiny, save for 3 cards that will soon be shiny.
But you can't take the card and bend it in half and then have it go back to being fine. It's kind of sad.
Why would you bend your card in half?
To prove that it's real.
How does that prove it's real?
Don't worry about it. I'll teach you card authentication one of these days.
Mimi.
Yeah.
That's only stop telling people how to make phony ID cards.
Shh. I'm not telling anybody how to do anything.
That's illegal, kids. Don't do that.
All I'm saying is that I like to play with common cardboard. It feels better in my hands. It shuffles better, and it might not look as nice, but it does scan better, and that is worth something. So I can make better prices.
Yeah.
But the shiny,
I'm
almost done maxing out Gear Chronicle.
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that my Bermuda shinies are not my favorite thing in the entire universe, and that I would literally die for more Bermuda SPs. But
full art SP Chrono Jets are like 120s.
I would die for a playset of SSP, I guess not a playset, of an SSP for each of the 5 melody cards.
That's right, because the SPs didn't have the borders in that particular set.
Yeah.
Yes. They just started going back down to 60s.
Shiny cardboard is a drug, ladies and gentlemen. Stay away from it if you can.
Yeah, I maxed my Dodex deck, and I
forgot.
Don't think I paid much more than the cost of. Not even paid more than the cost of my case. I plussed so so hard. I just opening the one SP pack made my life so much easier.
Speaking of SPs and the new thing, I totally forgot to mention, but they're doing something new with the new boxes. So with current
Well,
boxes,
yeah, the rares and commons also come foiled too, just like Magic.
Yep, and also the most important thing is remember before that they had one VR per box, and it was great. But now with the ride deck, you might not necessarily need a whole playset of your thing. So what are they like? What do we make one per box to make it a sell? One SP per box. Ooh.
Well, technically not an SP. It's called a DSR.
Yeah.
No.
Shiny cardboard.
The DSRs are different. DSRs are. I don't think they're. I think they're one per case. I think you might get one of each per case. I don't think they announced the actual pull rate for them yet.
No, DSRs are one per box.
I'm pretty sure they're not because there's only 2 DSRs for the first set, and they're both Dragon Empire.
Yeah, they're one per box. When they do breakdown, they said it was one per box.
The point
I'm pretty sure they said the SPs were one per box, though.
There's one shiny card per box, and there's still chase cards. That's the point. We don't need to get hung up on the specifics or whatever. I'm sure we could all look it up if we need to. But with SPs in every pack, man, oh man, that's going to be pretty good for the people who do like the shiny, and that's everybody. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I hate shiny cards. I do love them, but something about common cards, just the foiling is not being there. That matte texture, I like it. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird, but I think
you're not weird.
That's pretty much all the time we have for today, though. I do want to get a last few words from Crespo before we head out, though, because you've been kind of quiet for a minute.
Yeah.
That's you and me, though. I feel you on that, friend. We as our community guest, how does this how are you feeling looking into this? Are you as optimistic as us? You're muted though. Maybe you went AFK because you didn't think I'd call on you hardcore like this.
Sorry.
You're good.
Sorry.
You good.
I'm muted without it.
I called you already.
No. I'm in front of the screen. I just forgot it was muted. That was definitely my bad. But no, you guys had everything. You guys had everything on the money about overdressed. I mean, I know I was back and forth with Reese over the last week or so about the whole losing the gift markers, and I was like, nah, we can leave it. When they showed the 10K the persona artifacts, I was like, all right, we can live with that. But I mean, it feels like a good fresh restart on their part, which is okay with me. I mean, I've just learned adapted every change they've made. So like I said, this one's in better standing than I have been from the last 2 iterations. So I'm fully okay with it right now.
That's what I like to hear. Everybody seems to be on the same page that we're all just waiting in bated breath to read some of these cards so we can actually determine if this game is worth playing or not for real yet. I'm excited.
Yeah. Because if it's not, I'll just stick to 0, play V standard, and enjoy being a tamer in Digimon.
Yeah, I'm gonna play premium for the rest of time. It's really fun, even if it's an objectively bad format. I still enjoy it.
I mean, I will get to mess around with over triggers in premium, so yeah, I'm down for that.
Oh, actually,
I don't necessarily need a ride deck if I'm playing any of my standard decks in premium. I don't need a ride deck. I'll hit my rides more often than I don't.
One last thing before we head out, I forgot to mention about with premium, with the way that the clans and nations will work together from now on. Basically, it becomes you pick a nation, and then your clan that you get in premium is like a flavor you get to sprinkle on top. So you can't clan mix in premium still. None of that. No shenanigans. No. But you do get to mix whatever standard or new standard cards will come out, which will be useful, I'm certain. The best, quote-unquote archetype in premium has been standard plus strides, where you just take your whatever's busted in standard, throw on some strides that have some synergy with it, turn everything sideways, and you'll get there. Just play aggro and you'll beat DI. You'll be fine. And with things like that, being able to rebalance the format, I'm sure that all 3 formats will have all sorts of interesting things to play with. But with that all said, I think we're all set to go. Does anybody have anything to say before we head out?
No.
I do.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people out there that are probably going to go into overdress kicking and screaming. And I'll be honest, I feel for you guys. I really do. Because nobody wants to see a reboot when they've put so much money into the game. Like the V Series reboot kind of hurt me because I'd been playing Vanguard since its creation, essentially. And knowing that I had to start over was, it was a bitter pill to swallow. But try to go into Overdress with an open mind. Just take into account that, V Series wasn't perfect by any means. It started out as a step in the right direction. It was a fresh coat of paint for Vanguard, but it wasn't really an evolution. It was more, if you think of it as buying time so that we can actually get Overdress, that might make it a little easier. Yeah, it doesn't change the financial investment, but if you think about the clans you enjoy and knowing that they are still in essence a part of Overdress, you'll eventually get that familiar feel back. Just have fun with the game and hope for balance,
Oh yeah, for sure. If you stop having fun playing Vanguard, please stop playing the game. Do not force yourself to play when it's not fun anymore. Just like with Overwatch and League of Legends, you guys need to stop playing.
Crespo can tell you during our time together in our old team, I would stop playing for literal months at a time and
totally
just wait.
Fine. There's nothing
It's
wrong
okay
with
to take a break. If you don't want to jump right into Overdress, I would say at bare minimum, pick up a starter deck and just see how you feel about it. It's not a high cost for investment. It's less than $10. That's not a high cost of entry. Figure out how you feel about it. If it still feels like Vanguard to you, and go from there. If you don't enjoy it, it's not going to be for everybody. I do expect to see people bow out of playing Vanguard for a while. Maybe not permanently, but yeah, for a while, and just while they let things settle. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Do what works for you.
There's always a jumping back in point. I'm sure you are always welcome to come back to the channel. We'll be doing lots of reveal spoilers for the new stuff. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of new stuff for the new Vanguard 2.0 with Overdress. So stay around and subscribe, like, and whatnot. And we'll
try to keep you.
Decks you like, I'll be building. I'll be trying to do a whole bunch of deck techs for new decks in the new format. So hopefully, maybe one of them will catch your eye eventually.
We'll actually start rounding up the reveals for Overdress once they finally start, and we'll address them in our podcast so that you can get some of our insight onto it. Yeah,
it'll be somewhere on the YouTubes, but not necessarily this series. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll have something dedicated to it, but you will hear our thoughts as they come up, as the situation unfolds, and as we learn more about Overdress. We're not just going to wait for everything to hit and then we just, overload you. You'll be hearing our thoughts as you formulate your own over the next few months leading up to the launch in May.
Yeah.
We will do our best to remain objective and remain hopeful for our sake as well as yours. And yeah, definitely, because I gotta admit, as much as I didn't want a reboot to happen, it was coming, and it's needed. We do need this, and hopefully, we'll get an overhaul of the entire tournament scene as well, and make it fun for people to come out. Maybe we'll see some actual prize support. There's a lot of what ifs that can happen here, and I think it's best to remain optimistic.
Hey Reese, what do you think about if they took the percentages of what nations were played, and then through the nations they decide on who gets support based on that in lore?
Questionable.
I don't want that. I don't want support to be situational. I just want them to try to keep everything around the same power level each release. If they're going to be supporting all nations and every booster, I don't want to see like what we did with original Vanguard or even G era, where a new clan gets supported and then they get over supported to catch up with something and it makes them top dog. I want to see everything kind of remain even. If we have 5 playable decks in the metagame, that'd be a welcome change from the 3 we currently have, if that many.
I think we have
So, you know,
6, sort of.
Yeah, we have
Like counting
6,
all the way
but
down to
there
tier
are
2.
there are like 2 or 3 that are clearly better than the others
Yeah.
and have an
but we got,
advantage.
like,
I would
five-
like
we
to
got about
see it
5 or 6 playable.
like I would like to see decks check each other where these 5 decks perform about the same level, but they kind of just naturally check each other just based on their internal mechanics. This way, one deck is not the best deck. It'll depend on how many people like. Let's say Keter Sanctuary is really popular. There's going to be a counter for it. So you might
Probably.
see a lot of people playing it, but there's probably going to be a deck that outright counters it. It just may not be as popular.
I mean,
But if they
outright
keep
counter.
it,
Yeah. They just like having
mean,
a
like-
positive matchup. You know, like 70-30.
yeah, like a positive match. Yeah, like not even 70-30. I would like to see more like
66-33. How about that?
60-40, 60-40 maybe,
Sure.
where it's not like an overwhelming advantage and skill can still help you win even with that 60-40 disadvantage.
Yeah, skill in Vanguard is all about knowing the matchup and whatnot, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like keeping everything balanced is really what I want Bushiro to focus on. Set 1, keep things around the same power level as each other. Keep that formula going with set 2, where if they're going to power creep, everything kind of like, keeps charging along at the same pace.
And they should be set up for that because now everybody's always getting support at the same time, you know? 'Cause
Exactly.
that was always
That's
my
what I'm
big
saying.
thing.
That's why I'm hoping that they don't, just start overhyping Dragon Empire. I don't care if I play the clan. I don't want to see it getting the lion's share of, viable support every set. I don't want them to keep doing that. Alternate it at least. But try to just keep it balanced. If everything coming out, if the Ace of Dragon Empire is as good as the Ace of Keter Sanctuary and Stoicheia and, Dark State and Brentgate, as long as they're all the same power level, I'm fine with that.
I mean,
It lets people play what they want without feeling like they have to pick what wins.
As long as everything's viable in the end. They don't all have to be on the same level. Like, one can be slightly better, one can be slightly worse, or 2 can be slightly better. But as long as there's nothing that's just hot garbage and it feels like that the format has variety. Like, imagine if you're playing Magic and you're just like, oh, you actually just can't play blue this year. You're like, what? What do you mean I can't play blue?
I don't want to. I don't want to
about it.
that.
I wasn't going to counter your spells. I just wanted to play Riddle Farm and birds. Okay, man? What's wrong with playing birds? But I think that's about it then. Leroy, how about you give us your last thoughts and then take us out of here?
Well, my thoughts on Overdress is it's looking like it's going to be a fun format. I might slow it down and just not play it competitively and play it more in the fun aim, but that's all going to be based on what we see it through it.
For sure.
But it's looking pretty good, and just like Reese said, guys, if you're not having fun with the game, step away. There's no point to frustrate yourself and continue to frustrate yourself just because it's a game you play. You can always step back and then come back.
It's a very frustrating game. Like, it's okay to get frustrated with bullshit. Now it's going to get even worse with the over triggers. It's okay. It happens. It's Vanguard. It's a pretty bullshit game, but that's part of what makes it fun. So if part of what's making it fun is making it unplayable, just stop playing it. You are currently getting less fun than you are frustration. And you could just come back at a different time. Because as a competitive experience, this game is not built for that. It could be, maybe, but no, please don't. Don't take it too seriously.
Side note, as I look online, I see that there's also going to be a playmat. It looks like it's a box topper.
Mm-hmm.
No, it looks like it's a case topper.
Probably. That they usually are.
Which mat?
It's actually going to be a generic mat, which I am a fan of, with the damage zone, rearguard circles, and the labels found to make it easier for new players to understand, as well as what looks to be a zone for. You see, it's kind of confusing because there's a zone next to the deck for where your ride deck is supposed to be, but there's also a zone above the damage zone, which could just be retroactive to fit like G guards or gifts or if you're playing a different format,
etc.
yeah. Or tokens, those two. It's a plain black mat. It's got the traditional circles and everything on it. It's very basic design. It's obviously geared towards very new players, which is cool.
Yeah.
And it's thoughtful that they're doing that.
But if it's
Because
plain
it's even
enough, I
got
would
like the icons of whatever. It's got the icons for what every trigger does, including the new over trigger. Well, just the icons for them rather, with the trigger check zone. It's not like an actual square or anything like that, but it just shows you where you should, quote unquote, put your triggers. Nobody ever uses the trigger zone. I don't know. I don't know why that's there, but I guess
the trigger zone doesn't have to be anywhere in specific. It's implied that it's somewhere. It's just a zone that's not your hand and not your deck. That's the point.
Yeah, basically. Man, I remember the days people used to rule shark over that. Oh, you didn't check your trigger into your trigger zone. You lose. What?
Bro, the whole thing is wherever I put it is the trigger zone. Calm down.
Man, rule sharks make a game unfun real fast.
Oh yeah, I like to rule shark our friends. Whenever you forget to gain a gift, I disqualify you immediately. Which has bit me in the ass many a time. I deserve it, because I always forget to gain my force gift. I'll start doing my skill and then gain the gift. But per the rules, if you fail to gain a gift when you should have, you lose the game, loser.
Yep.
So
I mean, I understand the merits of like
myself. It's okay.
Calling people out for the rules. I just don't like people that try to trip their opponent up and then win through rule sharking. Like that's
like if I was at locals, no way I would actually like call somebody over about that. I'd just be like, "Oh, bro, get your gift. Don't forget me."
I mean, my line.
Like if I'm playing against you, I'll give you shit for it.
Yeah, like my line with like sharking is really just like, all right, if you know your card skill,
but we have
like if you read your card before you played it,
but. Leroy does have to get to work, so we have to let him go.
That's true, yeah.
So I'm going to let you give us the outro, like for real this time, Leroy. Let's hit him with it.
All right, guys. So once again, please remember to like, comment, subscribe down below. We do want you guys to comment, so we have questions to answer at the end of these videos, so we don't just run.
Yeah, if we have the Discord, I made a little Q&A thing on Discord. So if you pop in, there's a link in the description. You can go all the way to our other channel right below our virtual tables, and you can leave a little thing on our Q&A section. I promise I'll answer them.
And we'll even shout you out as we answer your questions so that you know that we read it.
Exactly. Come on, you think we weren't going to do that? Come on.
Oh no, I'm gonna call out usernames and everything.
Oh yeah.
The funnier the username is, the more fun I'll have with it. I'll answer your questions seriously.
Of course.
The shout out flex.
But you know, if you got a name that's there for the laws, I'm gonna roll with you on that one.
Oh yeah. But that's about it.
So once again, guys, we're Team Vector. We'll see you in the next video. And stay good, fam. Later.
Bye.
Be good. Bye.